Okay, this is me actually recording my recap and review for Ready to Love before the next episode. So I'm only 2 days after the episode right now. But so we're on episode 10 and it's Tommy's Getaway Part 2. All right. And so of course we had the infamous cliffhanger that so lovingly gives us all the time. Sometimes we get more than one, but last week was a cliffhanger. And we had Alonzo, William, and Laron in the bottom. Now, I thought Laron was going to go home, but they sent William home. Okay, and then, it sucked that they sent him home after he had that, emotional conversation with Patrice. Patrice ended up getting emotional or whatever, but it was like, okay, I could understand, once you have a vulnerable moment with somebody, sometimes you feel a little bit closer to that person or whatever. But Patrice had to have a moment and go to her room. Vanessa tried to check on her and she didn't answer the door or whatever. But I didn't realize that they had bonded like that. So that was interesting to me. But, I guess those little situations are full of sadness. Like, oh man, especially with somebody you were friends with. So I guess that's what that was. The main theme of this episode is Chaz is overwhelmed, okay? And it's just so funny. It's always interesting, like I said, who ends up with multiple connections. Like I always say, this situation is a small version of what we have in the real world, right? They only got 10 guys, but in the real world, the chances of you being attracted to the first 10 guys that you see when you go out of the house, or just 10 random guys, you probably only get one or two in there that you actually would go for. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying that in these situations, it's just interesting to see who ends up with all the connections. But it could be for different reasons. It could be because they like him, but it could also be because they're competing against each other as well. So you just never know. But I'll just leave it there. Rasheena and Justin decided they were not a connection. So Rasheena said that she kind of sees how him and Mieka are. She's rooting for them. So they pieced out on that. Vanessa and Chaz. What's happening here? We're all over the place, okay? On the episodes, we see her telling him that he needs to pretty much make a decision, all right? He's stressed out, obviously, right? And so she's putting the press on him. And in other news, we have this audio that has been played of her basically saying she was acting like she's, one way on the show and it's something else off the show. So at this point, as far as commentary is concerned on the episode, I don't know what to say about Chaz and Vanessa. So I don't know. It's I don't know. When this stuff happens, I just can't consider the commentary because now I know that it's not true. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm just gonna wait to see how this plays out. So we'll discuss them once the season's over and people start doing their interviews, because I got a feeling this cast has been a talkative cast, not as a whole, but certain people on the cast are just very talkative. I also had a chance to catch Crystal XO's interview with Dom as well. Dom is talkative as well, okay, but he's very choosy with what he chooses to say. But he did. I felt like he did say a lot of things. So we'll get into that after I finish going over this last episode, because, like I said, the whole theme was Chaz being overwhelmed with 4 connections. Now, that is a question that I have. By what episode or what point in the show do you guys think that a choice should be made? Because usually by the getaway, we usually have somebody that has 2 connections. But sometimes people have had 3. I don't know if anybody's ever had 4 up until now. I can't think back on all the seasons. But my point is, I do feel well, not my point, but my question to you is, where do you think that people should make the decision? I do want to share my personal opinion, because I do think that it's less stressful going into the getaway making a decision. The people who have gone into the getaway making a decision, the ones that have connections, they've been less stressed by making that connection. And then they use that time to get closer to their connections, right? And so I did think Chaz was crazy for adding Patrice at that point, because it's like you just stressing yourself out at this point, you know. So Vanessa, Mieka, and Rasheena, they discussed Chaz because Chaz and Vanessa had that conversation about him needing to make a decision, and then they see Chaz storm out. Vanessa goes out there and talks to them, and you know, the vibe that I got from Vanessa, especially after hearing the audio, is that, you know, a lot of things go on off camera, and that's really what drives the show. So I feel like Vanessa was very chill and unbothered, even when she was talking to Chaz, right? She was chill and unbothered, and even when Chaz left, right, because this episode he left, I feel like she was the only one that didn't look like she was shocked. So, I guess we just got to take that for what it is. But yeah, I don't know about that. But she discussed Chaz with those ladies, and to me it kind of seemed like she was pointing out like possible flaws. So it wasn't like, and you know, saying that he needed to make a decision, but it was like I could also see somebody doing that to X these women out. Just go ahead and just I make it seem like I'm thinking about letting them go, so you let them go. But yeah, so we'll never know. Well, maybe we will find out, but Justin gets sick and Mieka takes care of him, helps him out with his hair, stuff like that. And then Chaz is like still overwhelmed, and Patrice talks to him and he tells her like he's hurting and he can't take this, is overwhelmed, and he needs to be around people that love him. And I kind of wonder, why wouldn't he go to Vanessa? Like, if that was like supposed to be his strongest connection, I just didn't understand that. But he told Patrice that he wanted to leave. She said she didn't want him to leave. And so he ended up leaving, right? And he didn't say anything to anybody, which was odd to me because, I don't know, just the whole, I don't know. But Rasheena felt some kind of way about Chaz leaving, as he was one of her connections. Why would he leave his potential woman in that situation though? Like, I've never been in a situation where I've been in one house with 4 people who were trying to talk to me or whatever, and we had to all like engage. So I don't know how that feels. But if somebody's trying to be in a relationship with you or get to know you to be in a relationship, like part of how you handle like adversity and tough situations, that needs to be seen too. So I don't like the fact that he didn't think about that, but you gotta do what you gotta do to protect your peace if you feel like you can't take it. Alonzo wore his skates, and as I'm watching him through the season, that first couple of episodes, they portray him in a certain way, but he does look like a fun-loving dude, right? He looks like he's just like if he's going to be at the event, there's going to be laughter and some type of fun. So that's what I'll say about Alonzo. But he did capitalize on the fact that Chaz left and he went and chilled with Patrice. They ended the getaway. Everybody looked like they were in good spirits and stuff like that. When they get back, Laron and Mya go on a solo date. Right now, I'm still shocked about this, but you never know who's gonna like who, right? Laron shows up to the date with flowers, and then he fed Mya, which is another typical ready to love thing that happens. Alonzo and Patrice went on a solo date, and they went to this place called Bungee Fitness. That looked fun, okay? But I feel Patrice, even though I haven't tried that, just when she said that she thought that her nose was going to hit the ground, I was like, you know what? I want to try, but I'm probably going to be thinking that same thing just because, you just want to make sure y'all got these things secured. So then we get to the men's lounge, okay? The men's lounge, the men are happy to see Chaz again. They have the final 4 men, all right? So Chaz had to explain to Tommy why he left the getaway. He explains that he's overwhelmed. And Tommy says, well, I'm glad you're doing better or whatever. So Laron says Mya was made for him. Of course, Justin likes Mieka and Alonzo likes Patrice. So we got, Laron and Mya, Justin and Mieka, Alonzo and Patrice. Are we gonna have Vanessa and Chaz, or Chaz and anybody? Like, who's gonna be Chaz? We don't know. So we almost at the end though, y'all. But they talk about who they're feeling and who they're not feeling. The men as a whole kept saying Rasheena's name. And so Rasheena ends up being the one that has to go on this date. Now, what Tommy said to him was, you take Rasheena out and you make the decision. So it's like, okay, he can either decide to keep her or not, right? So he goes on this date. It's a little awkward conversation. She wants an explanation as to why he left. She's taking it personally. And then so he's trying to have this conversation, and she jumps in and says, well, before you say that, I just want to say this. And then she says that she was thinking about self-eliminating and blah, blah, blah. Like, basically, they had a little battle back and forth for power over the conversation. He was trying to talk and finish his statement, and she was like, no, before you say that, I got to say this. So it was really, really crazy to watch. She quit before she got fired. She felt it coming. But the thing is, what if he decided not to do it? Because Tommy gave him a choice, right? To make the decision. Make the decision to me means you have a choice to do it or not. So I guess if she really wanted to self-eliminate, maybe she saw the writing on the wall. Who knows? But it was pretty funny. Okay. He told her she wasn't ready to love. And next week the men get to meet the women's family. So that's always interesting. The clips that interest me most, well, one that stands out is Mieka's father. I can't wait to see how that conversation goes. But this brings me to Dom's interview because, I forgot all about Dom in the sense of, what he could have seen, what he might have to say, because he was on there for like 8 episodes. So he had a lot to say, okay? And I didn't take note of everything he said, but just the things that kind of like stood out to me. So one of the things was, in another video that I did, I talked about Love is Blind's reunion, but I also talked about like some of the things that these shows do to get these cast members on the show, right? Now, I didn't mention this, but Dom said that he had a Hinge profile. And, Hinge is a dating site. The woman usually makes the first move, I believe, on Hinge. Or if the woman actually matches, then it matches. I don't know. It's built on, I think, the woman taking the action to connect. But anyway, he got a hit on Hinge. And he said he remembers it being a slim, cute chick. And they matched, and he said, how you doing, or whatever, and then she responded back saying, what's your number? And so he was taken aback or whatever, but he still gave the number, but nobody called until 3 days later, and 3 days later it was Ready to Love. So that's crazy, okay? That's one of the tactics that we need to add to the list of how they get these people on the show, because that answers the question of why aren't they using people who are seeking out the show to find love, right? Even though Dom said that he did come in with that mind frame, that's kind of sneaky, okay? And then, so he also said his mom gave him some advice about the show because she watches the show, and she told him to be open-minded to older women with kids, because that's kind of what Ready to Love has on there. Some of the cast members that they have on their cast, I guess based on the past episodes. But the conversation was just interesting, and I don't know, I got a different perception of him from the show because we only see a little bit, but just having more than an hour to sit here and listen to him talk, it was like, okay, he is, I don't know, editing is a thing, okay? So, because he does have a mouth on him, okay? Don't be having him in the room. Don't be having him on the screen while you got small kids, which also I did see Married for 10 Years video, and she talked about his mouth as well, but she also was talking about, I guess, Vanessa, that comment that Vanessa left was on her page, and she listen, this is a classic example of when somebody like wants to lie or manipulate something, but they don't think past that lie or manipulation to see how it looks as a bigger picture, okay? And with this situation, I feel like Vanessa set herself up. she went over to Married for 10 Years page and left a comment saying, you know, that her son walked in the room while she was saying something pertaining to her touching Chaz, right? And at first, listen, you would think, oh my God, that sucks that child had to hear that. But then when you further think about it, the person on YouTube that's doing the video doesn't have any control over when you play it. They don't have any control over who's there when you play it. All that is on you, and especially when it comes to your kids. And if it was a small kid that was 6 years old, like, yeah, you were tripping, because how you would come on here and blame it on me when you had to turn the TV on. Then she said also that it is wild that the child will walk in at that moment of the video too. So, you know, all that being said, this goes into what I was talking about in my other video about the effects and stuff that comes from being a part of these processes on these shows. I don't know, but Miss Deborah definitely got her straight, because that made total sense to me. Like, you're the mom, that's your kid, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You were careless. So I don't know. Anyway, I just agree with that. But let's get back to Dom's interview, because Dom also said that he knew Vanessa, intimately. Well, the way that he said it was on an intimate, he knows her better on an intimate mental level than anybody else, because they dated a lot, right? Now, he said Vanessa and Alexis. And he said probably better than anybody on the show. So I feel like these post-show interviews are going to be very spicy, okay? Also, Kamisha Reviews is doing a Q&A live at the reunion watch party, I think, with the guys. So that's going to be interesting as well. Dom said that when he was asked about Alexis and his attraction to her, he said that he liked Alexis for a couple of reasons, but he mentioned that she was one of the most protective women of black men on the cast. Okay. I'm going to leave that right there, because I'm going to leave that right there. She was taking up for Will and stuff like that, but I'm going to leave that right there. I'm sure somebody else is going to pick that part apart. But he also said that Alexis got picked on, but that she deserved it because a lot of stuff she did wasn't cool. He talked about the group chats where they discussed dates and stuff and everything like that. He also talked about the moment that he realized his role on the show, because they're casting these roles. They have a certain type of list of, you know, the people that they want to be a part of this experiment. And he realized he was the therapist, okay? And then they talked about how Chaz has, you know, a house, and Crystal added in that Chaz has strong shoulders. And he says the right thing, and Dom said he can't compete with that. And he was like, Dom said he got hookah, head, and Hennessy, okay? But then something else interesting was said, and it kind of goes along with the audio that was leaked about Vanessa, it wasn't from Vanessa, but it was audio of Vanessa. And he said basically that Vanessa did the show with her son in mind, and she was very conscious of like how she filmed, right? And that the Vanessa that we see on the episodes is different than the Vanessa off camera. And I feel like it's like that with a lot of people, and that's where the miscommunication comes in with the fans and the viewers, because some people take the on-screen to be everything, but it is parts of you. But I can understand that. I feel like I liken that to like code switching. Like, you go and you work in a corporate environment, this is how you carry yourself, and you're not going to be in there using the ebonics and stuff like that. I guess that's how I would compare what he was explaining about Vanessa. But you know, I'm sure more will come out about that, because who the heck leaked the audio of Vanessa supposedly leaving the message for Chaz? Because I heard allegedly Chaz is saying that his phone got hacked. I don't know. Then Dom said he dated Mieka the most. And so I thought that was interesting too, because we didn't really get to see a lot of Dom, but he did say he was missing in action or whatever. because of work and stuff like that. But he also said that some of the cast lacked class. And then he said he knows a lot of things about a lot of the women that could have probably gotten them eliminated, but he shut up because he wanted to be a safe space. And he wished that they would have shown him the same courtesy, because apparently people out here thinking that he's 5'5". I didn't catch how tall he actually is, but yeah, we all think that he's 5'5". We talked about this on other seasons, about the contact that the cast has outside of filming, right? And yeah, it's supposed to be frowned upon and not supposed to do it, but how easy is it to just call somebody in your city and be at the same event, or even just be at the same event and not really realize that, you know, y'all both plan to be there, like y'all just end up there. It's not hard, right? So in that same vein, right, we've seen other dudes leave the show and still talk to people, whatever, because once you got the phone number, whether you're filming or not, you can still talk to that person. So Dom said that he was a sniper once he left the show, right? He's you know, still connecting with the people that he was connected with, and he really stressed that he knew some of these women, well, two in particular, you know. So the post-show interviews should be interesting. I don't know. I just wanted to add that to this review as we truck through this season, because I can't even really, because somebody mentioned April and Lamar the other day, and I was like, who's April Lamar? April and Lamar. I was like, oh gosh, this is only episode 10, but it seems like it's been 20 damn episodes. Like I said, next week we're gonna see the women introduce the men to their family, and I'm guessing that the women will have the power back again. And then I feel like that's our last episode before choosing day. I don't know. Anyway, get in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts about this episode. Who do you think Chaz is gonna pick? Okay. Can't pick Rasheena. He could pick Vanessa. He could pick Mieka, but Mieka like Justin. He could pick Patrice like Alonzo. So who knows? It's all on who is Chaz gonna end up with. All right. I'm your girl, Demeanor Joe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.